Hi, good morning dear students. How are you all? I'm hoping everyone good. Okay, fine. In this video, we are going to discuss about grammar what we have in our first unit. You know something? In our first unit, we are getting grammar about defining and non-defining relative clauses. So before going to know the difference between them, let us know first what is clause in English. So that's I'm going to teach you first. Okay, here topic clauses definition. A clause is a group of words that has both a subject and predicate. Every complete sentence is made up of at least one clause. So it is a definition of clause. I think it's look like sentence definition. You know, do you remember the sentence definition is a group of words which makes complete sense is called sentence. So both are look alike. So actually sentence it consists itself some group of words and clause also consists itself some group of words. So that is very important what we need to remember. And here a clause is a group of words that has both a subject and predicate. So what is subject and what is predicate? Of course we discussed about these two in the previous year many times in our classroom. Okay, fine. Let me remind you with the one example. Here I am going to write it. I am reading a book. So if you observe this example, I am reading a book. So in this sentence, what is subject and what is predicate? Let's find out that. So I only subject. Rest of the sentence we call predicate. Rest of the sentence we call predicate. You know, my dear students, in every sentence, only subject we call subject and rest of the sentence we call predicate. So predicate consists itself helping verb, prepositions, conjunctions, objects and any other parts of speeches. But only subject in the sentence we call subject. So that is the difference between subject and predicate. It is very easy to find out in every sentence what is subject and what is predicate. Hoping you are understanding it. Okay, now I am going to explain kinds of clauses. See, kinds of clauses are two types. One is independent clause and one is dependent clause. So we call independent clause with another name, that is main clause. Main clause. In the same manner, we call dependent clause with another name subordinating clause. Subordinating clause. So main clause and subordinating clause are another names of independent and dependent clauses. Okay. Now we are going to discuss independent clause definition. See here, an independent clause makes sense by itself. It expresses a complete thought. You know something? Independent clause always gives complete meaning itself. It never depends upon another part of a sentence to give complete meaning. So that's why we call that clause as an independent clause. Independent clause always gives complete meaning. Complete thought means complete meaning itself. So that's why we are calling that independent clause. Here the examples. I bought a new pen. Actually, I went to a shop and I bought a pen. So actually, I bought a pen. The sentence giving complete thought. So actually, there is nothing confusion to understand. So we are completely getting a clarity through the sentence of I bought a new pen. So basically, whenever we listen that kind of a feeling by someone, definitely we can understand that person bought a pen. So there is a complete sense, there is a complete meaning of a sentence. So such sentences we call in English independent clauses. Now second example, she completed her homework. So basically here a girl, a student or a boy completed, her homework. So a girl completed her homework completely. So because of that sentence we are getting complete thought, complete meaning. So such this kind of all sentences we call in English independent clauses. So please remember very carefully. Next, dependent clause. A dependent clause does not make sense by itself. It does not express a complete thought. So it is a definition of a dependent clause. Dependent clause always depends upon another part of a sentence sentence to give complete meaning itself. So dependent clause never give complete thought by itself. So it always expect some other part of a sentence to give complete meaning. So basically there is a idea about the word. So dependent clause. So through the that name we are getting, it always depends upon other part of a sentence to give complete meaning itself. So here the examples are, example 1, if run fast. If run fast, what will happen then? We are not understanding, we are not getting complete sense through the sentence. If run fast, what will happen then? Are you understanding? So if anybody talks like that, we cannot understand complete sense. So if run fast, what will happen then? We cannot imagine. So whatever maybe it happens, we cannot imagine exactly what will happen if run fast. So next, second example, although it is difficult. So although it is difficult, of course it is so difficult. So difficult means what will happen then? Are you willing to do that work, or are you giving up? So what we are understanding through the sentence. So these kind of incomplete sentences we call dependent clauses in English. Hoping everyone understanding it. Now I am going to explain about relative and non-relative clauses. Sorry, dependent clause and non-depending relative clauses. So now students, we are going to discuss about defining and non-defining relative clauses. So here I have written 2 examples. Let me read this. First one, the woman who taught him surfing had been beaten by a shark. And second one, Nick, who was teased and bullied, had been electric wheelchair for his mobility. So basically, in these 2 lines, there is something underlined. Who taught him surfing? So it is underlined in the first example, and in the second example, who was teased and bullied. So now we are going to know the difference between defining and non-defining relative clauses. So please keep concentration to learn them. Okay. So defining clause and non-defining clause. How can we identify? See, in the first example, the woman who taught him surfing had beaten by a shark. So here the woman, basically we have number of women in the world. So which woman? We don't know any particular identity. So we cannot identify a particular woman who taught him surfing. So it is a common noun. So whenever we say woman, the word belongs to all the women, not a particular woman. So here we are not knowing any identity about woman. So who is giving identity to the woman in the sentence? Who taught him surfing? Basically, Nixa learned surfing from someone. So who is that? So because of this word, who taught him surfing, the woman is getting identity. So basically, if we don't get this, who taught him surfing, there is no identity of this woman. So there is a relation between these 2 words. The woman who taught him surfing. So because of this, we are getting identity to the woman. So now we can definitely guess who is that woman? Bethany Hamilton. So if we don't have this part of this sentence in it, how can we identify this woman? So the word which doesn't get any identity is called defining relative clause. Okay, are you understanding it? So once again I would like to repeat this for better understanding. The woman, basically here the woman is not getting any identity, but who taught him surfing? Because of this word, definitely we can identify who is this woman. So who is that? Bethany Hamilton. How we are getting identity? Because of this word. Who taught him surfing? Basically him in the sentence refers Nick sir. So Nick sir learned surfing from Bethany Hamilton. So because of that we can definitely identify it. So the woman who taught him surfing had beaten by a shark. So it is called defining relative class. So defining relative class basically doesn't have any identity. So some other part of a sentence, the word will get identity. Such sentences we call defining relative classes in English. Now let us move to the second example. Nick, who was teased and bullied, had an electric wheelchair for mobility. You know, Nick. Everybody knows Nick. Nick is a very famous personality. So there is no any other part of a sentence to give identity to this word. And what we have to remember one more thing, it is a proper noun. So Nick, it is a particular name of a person. So it is a proper noun. So Nick, who was teased and bullied. So who was teased and bullied? So this underlined word is giving additional information about Nick. So who was teased? Basically, number of people teased him in schools and in his locality, and he was bullied by others. So had an electric wheelchair for mobility. So here Nick is getting through this part of a sentence additional information about himself. So it is called non-defining relative class. So non-defining relative class gives additional information about a man, about a person in the sentence. So here Nick is getting additional information through this sentence. But in the first example, the woman getting identity through this underlined part. So that is the difference between defining and non-defining relative classes. So hope you are understanding it. Let me tell you one more time. So defining class will give identity about person, about subject in the sentence. But non-defining relative class gives additional information about subject in the sentence. So that is the difference between these two examples. I am hoping at least you get some little idea about defining and non-defining relative classes. We will continue this lesson in our next video. Until then, see you all of you. Bye. Have a nice day, everyone.